cricket is an obsession in India. Often it's called a religion along with Bollywood. But if you look at the other sports, if you look at the performance of our sports people, why doesn't it match up to the world, to the rest of the world? With our lull in winning any remarkable medals in tournaments, whether it's Olympics, whether it's cups, when it comes to the World Cups, it's quite apparent there is something really crucial that is missing. What is this missing link? Is it proper coaching, finer facilities, infrastructures, policies, funds? Is it our own parents that need to encourage children to follow their own dreams? It could be something as basic as that. In all probability, it's a mix of all of the above. Just look at this startling figure. Ever since the first Olympic Games, guess how many medals India has won? It's less than 30. Can the new decade change all of that? Can the new decade be about India catching up with the rest of the world, if not taking a fantastic lead? Why do we even have a sports ministry in this country? Look at the dismal performance that we have seen over the decades. But if there is one trend in the last few years, it is that the private sector has stepped in. The private sector is not doing this out of charity alone. It is doing this as a serious business. And today, joining me on the show is one such representative from the private sector. It is the CEO of JSW Sports, Mustafa, joining us here. Mustafa, good evening. Nayantara Rai here. We're talking together at a time when 2019 is coming to a close. 2020 is the Tokyo Olympics. You know, since then, I know you folks have been working really hard to get our athletes Olympic ready. Should we have big expectations, big aspirations, big medal hopes from 2020?
Well, I think it's always good to have hope and aspiration. That's something that we all athletes always learn from a very young age. It's important that we work towards those aspirations. But that being said, I would say that you know, we have a long way to go before we are the powerhouse that we hope we should be.
Yeah, you know, it's sad. Look at our population and just look at the kind of medal tally that we have at the Olympics. Or even if you look at any other sports, we made a crack at it when it comes to badminton, as well as to a certain extent boxing, shooting. But you know, with your experience and what this fantastic sports arena that you guys have built, is it still about that? Is it still about badminton and shooting and boxing?
Yeah, I think the at least when it comes to the Tokyo Olympics, the key hopefuls will be in these sports. I would add wrestling to that mix as well. I think these are the 4 or 5 sports that we will be hedging all our bets on. Yes, and then but we do need to do a lot more work for us to be in a similar position with all the other sports.
You know, we're also talking, Mustafa, 48 hours after Leander Pace has announced his retirement, right, from professional tennis. He's in his late 40s, which also basically means is that fantastic magical duo of Mahesh Bhupathi and Leander Pace, we haven't found another replacement. Tennis, I understand, is a rich man's sport, and you know that is the case around the world. It's a privileged sport to say. There have been attempts to pick it up. You know, even if you look at the ATP globally, it does have an Indian, right, at the top in the association. Are you seeing maybe, you know, the richer sports take off in India?
So I wouldn't say tennis is a rich man's sport. It's a sport that requires a lot of financial support. That's how I would like to put it. If you look at tennis players all over the world, they're not all coming from well-to-do families. They all get the right support, whether it is from their federations or various sponsors, or even their local clubs that allow them to travel and compete all over as per the schedule, you know, that it demands. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have that system in place, which is why all of us tennis players have come through on personal plans and financial guidance and whatever we could put together. So yes, it is extremely challenging. It's one of the most competitive individual sports in the world, And for anyone to really make it in the world of tennis, apart from being extremely talented and hardworking, you do need a great amount of financial backing. And until India reaches that stage, we will not see many tennis players breaking into the top 100 in singles.
So, why just tennis? I'm going to ask you this one question, Mustafa, and I said this at the beginning. We are obsessed with cricket. It's almost as if cricket and Bollywood are religions in India, right? What do you think is going to take for the other sports to take off? Like, for example, is it going to be up to Virat Kohli, for example, to, encourage the youngsters by playing hockey or, kicking the ball when it comes to football? Is it going to actually take things like that? Because everyone's dream is, of course, to be a cricketer.
No, I mean, I think over the last 5-6 years, we are starting to see that there are other sports that are finding their space. You're seeing a lot of stuff happening within the other leagues as well. Football, kabaddi, badminton is finding a place for itself. But yes, we are a cricket crazy nation, and I don't think that will change for a very, very long time. And it doesn't need to. You have European countries, South American countries that are crazy about football, and the second sport is a long way off. So I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yes, it is up to us to produce champions in these other sports for the sports to get their recognition. At the end of the day, we need heroes. We need many more Mary Coms. We need many more Sushil Kumars to come through, many more Abhinav Bindras for us to really start seeing that fan following for all the other sports. And until we do that, yes, the obsession will be primarily focused on cricket.
And a lot of people therefore say that the big villain in India not catching up or being so far behind in sports, the real villain is actually cricket. Would you ever take such a hard line as that?
No, I don't think so. You have to give credit. They, as the administrators, they have done well to grow the sport to the level that it's at, and it's seeing the type of money that's getting pumped in. It's only encouraging more and more boys and girls to take up the sport professionally. And as a professional athlete, that's all you want. You want to be able to play the sport that you love and be able to earn a good living out of it, and that's the ultimate dream. So I think all the other federations and associations need to learn a little bit and understand what they did right to popularize the sport in a way that is envious to the rest of the world.
I think what also, of course, helped is 1983, right, Mustafa? I think a lot of that credit has to go to that entire team, the dream team, led by Kapil Dev himself, which really changed the fortunes. But having said that, Mustafa, the other thing I want to ask you is, we have in the last decade seen more action from the private sector when it comes to looking at sports as not just charity or a corporate social responsibility, but as a serious business. But even then, it's a drop in the ocean of what it is that the Indian corporates can do or what multinational companies can do in sports, right? So having said that, yes, you guys have made a mark. You're walking the talk. You've actually built a fantastic athlete village, a sports village. But how is it being in the business of sports in India?
Oh, it's very, very far off from a lot of the more developed sporting nations, be it the US or Australia or many countries in Europe. But it is also very heartening to see so many more corporates looking at sport in a more professional manner. Yes, a lot of us started off through the CSR route, and I think that was a big step for at least the Olympic sports, where sport was included in the CSR mandate, and corporate started providing contribution towards sports programs to see Olympic athletes develop. I think that has helped a lot of the NGOs and the foundations to support these young kids. And yes, there are a whole host of us that are looking at sport in a very professional and corporate manner. and hopefully that will see more professionalism coming into the industry, and seeing that it can be a livelihood for athletes and just passionate sports lovers to take up as a career even off the field.
But is it, challenging? Because, I think one of the difficulties, and I said that right at the outset, and that was also because, when I interviewed, for example, Hima Das about it, and even when Virat Kohli has been very open about this, children are not allowed to follow their dream of being a sports person, right? Even if they know and believe that, yes, I am the best, it takes a lot to get the rest of the family's support to do that. And Mustafa, that is something I'm sure you guys have also had to face at the village, where you have young athletes, you're training them, you do believe that, yes, these people can win Olympic medals.
Yeah, it is extremely difficult. There's a huge cultural challenge that we face here in India, where studies and getting a secure job is paramount, and in some aspects understandably so, because historically you only hear very, very sad stories of successful athletes now struggling to make ends meet. So it is how things were in the past, but hopefully we'll see more of that changing. But yes, it is difficult to convince parents and grandparents and all the other family members that they should allow their kids to pursue their dream of being an athlete and being a sports person, because there is financial stability at the end of the road.
Mustafa, as we start winding down this conversation, there's always this belief that money can fix most problems. Is money the only solution here? Because, at the end of the day, you also don't have coaches. You will need the money maybe to build the infrastructure. You're going to need the money to have the stadiums and all of that. But you also don't necessarily have all the talent to train and to coach, right? So according to you, what is the big solution, or the 2 or 3 big things that we need?
It's all the things you mentioned right at the start of the program, to be honest. We need a whole host of things for us to be a strong sporting nation. It starts all the way from administration, policy making, planning, long-term planning, infrastructure, coaches, and a mindset change from every single individual that is part of the ecosystem. So yeah, I don't think there are 3 things. It's a whole host of things that need to change, and it's the entire spectrum as far as I'm concerned. And it needs to be decisions that similar to the likes of what a Great Britain took, post the '96 Olympics, or China took, where they're like, this has had enough is enough. We do not want to be at the bottom of the table every 4 years. And we want to be right up top, competing with the US, competing with Russia. And until we are ready to take those decisions and back ourselves, only then will we see complete change in
and Mustafa,
in
it's
where
our
we stand.
fault as well.
There's no doubt on the talent and the abilities. Yeah, absolutely. It's everyone involved. It's
yeah, we can't be so populated and believe that we
really
don't have the talent
to do what is required.
But Mustafa, it's also our fault. For example, we only talk about the lack of infrastructure or the lack of funding or the problems that are there closer to the Olympic event. What about the 4 years? All of us remain silent on that. And that's of course, the crucial training time, right? That's when you need it. So I also believe that we, the media, are responsible for staying quiet and perhaps not making enough a noise about it for the 4 years. But having said that, as we wrap up, tell me, Mustafa, from all of those that are training at your athlete village, who are you betting big on? I know you don't want to say all of them, but who is looking, maybe got better odds when it comes to Tokyo 2020?
I think there are a few, but I think the likes of Bajrang Punia, Neeraj Chopra, They're all heading in the right direction. Like you rightly said, they've been doing the hard work, not just from the last 6-8 months, but 4 years down, and that's the difference. The saying goes that you win an Olympic medal the year before the Olympics, and that's where these boys are at. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they can deliver and make the entire nation proud.
Fingers crossed for that one, and I'm actually just doing that, Mustafa. I know you can't see me, but with that, I'd like to thank you, the entire team at JSW Sports, and of course, all of your athletes. A very, very happy New Year. Here's wishing all of them the very best. And on that note, let's take a quick look at India's sports action in the decade gone by. With that, we will be taking a short commercial break. Stay tuned. You're watching the India Development Debate.